the reason why I'm no longer minister is because I would not sign another loan agreement that would give us another extend and pretend loan on condition of increasing corporate tax rates, increasing VAT rates in an economy which is completely broken, where there's no credit and there's no investment. So in answer to your question, my heart aches and my mind constantly is trying to come up with answers to the questions such as yours as to what needs to be done. Unfortunately, there's no way of mending Greece without restructuring and recalibrating the European Union and the European Monetary Union in particular. So this is what really matters now.
There's a quote in your book: "A debt may be a debt, but an unpayable debt does not get paid unless it's sensibly restructured." That is the only way forward, as you see it.
Absolutely. Look, when you have an insolvency, you cannot overcome it through more debt, especially when the new debt, comes on conditions of shrinking nominal incomes. A 10-year-old can agree with this. And this is the tragedy of Greece over the last 7 years or so. So take General Motors. It wouldn't exist today if its debt was not restructured. So a debt that is unsustainable will be restructured. The question is, will it be restructured in a therapeutic manner or in a catastrophic manner? So far in Greece, it was the latter.
Looking at what's happening in the United Kingdom, this upcoming vote on the Brexit, how does that change your optimism? Does it mute it in some way? If the UK were to vote to leave, how less optimistic are you about the future of the European Union?
Oh, I campaign in Britain against Brexit, and one of the arguments is that it's a huge error on both sides of the argument as to whether the Remain campaign and the Leave campaign to think that the European Union is something out there on the other side of the British Channel, and then it's simply a question of whether the Brits want to stay in or out, whether it's like a golf club, do you want to be a member or not? This is a completely false view. The European Union is not a given. The European Union is work in progress, and indeed, it is disintegration in progress. And a Brexit would speed up this disintegration. And the speeding up of this disintegration will create a gigantic deflationary force, a vortex within continental Europe, which will consume Britain. So, the Brits can vote to get out, but they cannot leave the mess that will be left behind.
You write about the role of central banking, and I think it's particularly interesting to think about at this juncture, saying that you can't have a central bank that is apolitical, totally technically based. And yet we hear from Janet Yellen all the time, she's entirely dependent on the data. We depend on the central bank here to act in an apolitical way. In light of what's happening at the Fed, at the European Central Bank, with the Bank of Japan, what do you say in terms of how these entities behave versus what they're able to do when it comes to politics?
Well, that you need to be data and empirically based if you're a central banker. Of course you need to be. But the question is, can you be apolitical? Of course not. Look, the Fed has a dual mandate. It has a mandate of price stability and keeping unemployment below a certain level, growth. Now, how exactly do you balance those two pillars? This is a political decision. So you may have independence of the Fed from Congress, from the White House, and that's probably a good thing to have. But to argue that the Fed is making these decisions without any political agenda is simply to run in the face of reality. Money can never be apolitical.